Now, it absolutely boggles my mind how many preachers teach a secret silent rapture, like the Left Behind series, when what we're going to learn today, Jesus unequivocally states that immediately after the tribulation of those days, the sun will be darkened and the moon will not give its light, and the stars will fall from heaven, and the powers of the heavens will be shaken. Then will appear in heaven the sign of the Son of Man. And then all the tribes of the earth will mourn. And they will see the Son of Man coming on the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. And he will send out his angels with a loud trumpet call. And they will gather his elect from the four winds, from one end of the heaven to the other. Now, my two previous lessons, I pretty much gave you a light overview of how this deception crept its way into the church, how it infiltrated the church. Tonight, I'm going to kind of give you a little more personal background and my interaction with this whole rapture thing and how it affected me and with my ministry. Basically, as I shared before, I attended Calvary Chapel for almost 2 decades. Really enjoyed it there, and I heard this rapture stuff almost every single week. In fact, the head pastor even incorporated it into dedications, which dedication, if you're not familiar, it's basically a Protestant baptism without water. I was a new convert, so pretty much like most people, I accepted all this, bought the movies, bought the books, just believed it, because my attitude was, he's right about all these other things that are so important. Why would he be wrong about that? Problem is, he was wrong. Stace. It's because I didn't just rely on the Sunday sermons for my edification, but I went back to the Bible, went back to the Word on my own, that it became more and more clear that this stuff I was hearing is just not in there. Despite the problem with it, eschatology, the end time study, still love the church, still love the people, still love most of the sermons he was putting out there. So I kept going, and I even began a process of ordination within that denomination. Now, I've always heard that eschatology, the study of end times, is a non-essential. It's something where we're allowed to disagree. So I figured it won't be a problem, won't be an obstacle in me becoming ordained through Calvary Chapel. Boy, was I wrong. So I obtained the distinctives from Calvary Chapel. The distinctive basically means a catechism for a denomination that doesn't want to admit it's a denomination, so it said they have distinctives. Problem is, if you publish a book that lists all your beliefs and all your practices, you're a denomination. So I got the distinctives written by Chuck Smith. Chuck Smith is one of the gentlemen I mentioned in the previous lesson. And the more I read, the more obvious it became why the pastor would mention the rapture every week. Where eschatology is a non-essential in most denominations, this end time, this rapture, is really the cornerstone of all of Calvary's theology. Everything kind of flows from that. Now, my dilemma was, I wanted to become ordained so I could go back in the military as a chaplain and do the work of God. The only denomination I knew of was Calvary, so I pretty much had nowhere else to go. The problem was, to get ordained as a pastor in Calvary, I had to be willing to teach my congregation that the coming of the Lord and our being gathered together to Him occurs before the tribulation. The problem with that is, I open up 2 Thessalonians 2, I read 180 degrees the complete opposite. When we go to 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, I read, concerning the coming of our Lord Jesus Christ and our being gathered together to Him, let no one deceive you in any way. For that day will not come unless the rebellion comes first, and the man of lawlessness is revealed, the son of destruction, who opposes and exalts himself against every so-called God or object of worship, so that he takes his seat in the temple of God, proclaiming himself to be God. Now, lest I be accused of chopping that up because it's a little edited, like just to get my point across, we're going to go back to 2 Thessalonians and read the whole chapter because it fits perfectly into what we're learning in Matthew 24. More importantly, I want us to see all 2 Thessalonians because ironically, that chapter is one of the most popular chapters in the Bible that these rapture advocates use to push a pre-tribulation rapture. And when we go verse by verse, I want you to see that it goes beyond just mere misinterpretation, but it has to be an intentional twisting, where they make Paul say the complete opposite of what Paul actually wrote.